Welcome to Fascia Masters Q&A with D&Q, episode 14. How does block therapy benefit breast health?
Hi there, my name is Deanna Hansen. I'm a certified athletic therapist and the founder of Fluid Isometrics and Block Therapy.
And my name is Quinn Castellane. I'm the VP of Block Therapy and the lead block therapist.
Breast health is something so incredibly concerning for women and for men actually, because even men can get breast cancer. But if you Google dense breasts, you will find that over 50% of women have what they consider dense breast tissue. And it's quite interesting because they have some reasons as to why the tissue might be dense. And they also say that dense breasts make it harder for a mammogram to detect breast cancer. They also say that it's more likely that you will get breast cancer. So if I was told I had dense breasts, I would want to understand this and to have an actual solution so that I could create change in my body. And fortunately we do. So what I basically am here to share with you is that it's not the issue of the breast, it's the issue of the foundation under the breast, which is the rib cage. So compression is ultimately what creates density. And because we are not conscious of our postures or our breath, the rib cage collapses into the core over time. And it's this collapse that creates the tissue, the breast tissue, on the surface of the foundation, the rib cage, to compress and to move and to migrate along the way. So to me, in my opinion, the biggest reason that women have dense breasts is because of posture of that rib cage. And the foundation of the rib cage is the diaphragm muscle. So if we're not practicing conscious breathing, that muscle is weak, which is ultimately what's creating the collapse of the rib cage into the core. And so it's even so interesting to see people. I've had a breast reduction. So I have worked in my breast tissue a lot because the breast reduction created the scars to adhere to my rib cage. So that in itself created a ton of problems, not to mention affected my breathing. I was actually addicted to my inhaler for a while when I was running because all of those adhesions were pulling me in, and that was affecting the ability for me to inflate my lungs properly when I was breathing. So what was so good for me to have gone through that is I learned how to release the scar tissue from the ribs, how to work in that tissue to create the space, and also to find the symmetry. And I find it so interesting because so many women have had breast implants. And when you go and you get breast implants, you end up with these symmetrical breasts on an asymmetrical foundation.
Right.
So it doesn't really look right. You know, like it's,
thought of that.
Yeah, if our foundation isn't symmetrical, what's sitting on that foundation shouldn't also be symmetrical.
For sure. And sorry to interrupt. Question though, so is this research or about the dense breast tissue, is that new research, or has that just been around for a long time, or is that?
I don't actually know. I just Googled to see, what percentage of women have dense breasts, and the reality is they don't really understand it.
For sure, but I can also see people, females, or just people in general having more dense breast tissue or even dense pecs from the collapse of technology, creating the bad posture.
Absolutely.
So that's why I was wondering if it was more of a newer study or if that's been around for a while.
You know what, I'm not sure when they discovered dense breasts. I mean, they see it through mammograms, so probably as long as they've been doing mammograms, but I've never had one personally. But at the end of the day, what also we need to understand is the lymphatic system and how it cleans breast tissue. So we have a bunch of lymph nodes in the armpit that directly affect breast tissue. And when we collapse and internally rotate and adhere with a 2,000 pound per square inch force out of alignment, we are also blocking the ability for those lymph nodes to do their job to keep everything healthy and clean. So at the end of the day, if you're concerned about the health of your breast tissue, block therapy addresses specifically what you need to do to create change. Because the first thing that we always do with block therapy is address the alignment of the rib cage and the breath. So right off the hop, one first class that you do, you're going to feel a lift. Everything's going to be pulled back. You're going to be able to support the breast tissue. And, you know, as we age, for women with breasts, and again, I had really large ones. So, you know, at the age of 22, I had a breast reduction. Had I known now what I knew then, would I have done it? Not really sure, but at the time I'm certainly glad I did it because they were really big and they were problematic. And real big breasts aren't the same as fake big ones. They don't sit up perky and look great. You know, they're like big globes of like flesh. And because when they're big and you're ashamed of them, you kind of pull yourself in.
Totally.
You lose that floor on purpose and then they fall. So, you know, like, I mean, I've worked on women whose breasts have been down to their waist. And that's partly because of that collapse on purpose, because of the shame that comes around with that.
Right.
So to be able to create that proper support to keep them lifted and up, it's quite amazing. And we see in our group all the time, we have a really great virtual intensive for breast and lung health. And some of the comments after are just priceless because they're talking about the girls, they're lifted, they're soft. And you know, like it's incredible the comments that we see in those groups. By the way, Block Therapy members private Facebook group, if you want to join, it's for everyone. You can see the conversations and ask questions. And
that's free. There's no charge at all to
that. It's a super resource. So now it's not only women that get breast cancer, there's a small percentage of men that get it as well. But even from your perspective, being in the gym, working out, I'm sure you always see the asymmetries of the pec muscles.
Absolutely. Even before I started block therapy, I was looking at photos when I was around 16, 17 years old. My pecs actually hanged more than they do now. And it's not that they were bigger then, they're a lot bigger in muscular development now, but that's because I'm training the tissue correctly. But seeing other people in the gym, it's pretty crazy how asymmetrical we are. And their pecs look nothing similar to each other. It's super bizarre, and they get really saggy too, and they're working out thinking that they're going to create bigger pecs that are going to lift up more, but they're just adding to that compression, adding weight to that compression as well, which is going to pull everything down. So I've seen people starting with pecs that are hanging lower, that are more dense, and then doing block therapy, they look completely different after. And that's because they're releasing the compression, understanding the foundations of the body, and oxygenating the tissue so that it can lift more, and that we're training the pec muscle and the fascia surrounding the pec correctly rather than adding weight, density, and force.
And if you even just imagine the foundation and the size of the foundation. So if let's just say this is me sitting correctly, and my breast tissue is, you know, basically filling up this portion of my rib cage, how much foundation do I have if I pull in and I twist? I might have taken an area the size of my hand and I might now make it only the size of my palm. So now that breast is getting twisted and turned over time and compressed, and all of that tissue is getting stuck and adhered onto the rib cage in this tight little ball. So that's ultimately the problem. You know, if you were a mother that breastfed and you didn't have those milk ducts properly cleaned because there was all this blockage in there, that's now food for single-celled life that wants to come in and make a home that's not healthy tissue. So at the end of the day, really, really simply, we can create a change to the foundation. We can open up that tissue, release all of the old toxic waste that's been stuck in there to create an alkaline, healthy environment, and also to be able to support the breast tissue so they look perky, because we don't want them to age. We want everything to stay exactly where they should be and where it should be, whatever. So how can people find us?
First thing I would do is visit unblockyourbody.com. You're going to receive 2 gifts, an ebook and then a posture gift. That's going to help you understand your foundation so that you can start this practice now. So again, visit unblockyourbody.com. I'll put the direct link here. And if you guys have any questions directly for us that you would like us to answer, use the hashtag AskBlockTherapy or email us info@fluidisometrics.com. And then of course, if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up because I sure did, and leave a comment below, and please subscribe to this channel if you want to hear more educational fascia work to help improve you and the world together.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Breathe and believe.